Today on the channel, we're going to grab them cakes, we're going to mess with the country boy, and we're going to say ho in Jack's Classic Superstars Unboxing and Review Series 4.
The spirit of Ultimate Warrior will run forever!
Welcome everyone, Kyle here, and welcome back to the channel for another Jack's Classic Superstars unboxing and review. And today we're taking a look at Jack's Classic Superstars Series 4, Junkyard Dog, Hillbilly Jim, and Hacksaw Jim Duggan. But for all your modern day wrestling needs, make sure you hit up Ringside Collectibles. Use discount code Kyle to save 10%. And Jack's Classic Superstars, I went all the way back to the old Ringside days, and I did get a lot of Jacks from Ringside back as these were coming out. And of course, we are going to do this video like we do all the other Jack's Classic Superstars videos on the channel in this new sub-series we're doing here. As you guys know, for over 2 years, we've had Jack's Classic Superstar videos here on the channel. But normally we would be unboxing these, but actually I have all three of these guys loose, so we're going to take a look at the packaging. Then we're going to grab their loose counterparts. We're going to talk about it from there. So without further ado, let's kick it off with that good old country boy. The guy that never shuts up at the Hall of Fame induction. Remember his long speech there. Also the host of Outlaw Country over there on Sirius XM, of course. It's nice to hear Hillbilly's sweet voice on a Saturday night, playing all the outlaw hits we love to hear. It is the old Hillbilly Jim. Probably the most famous hillbilly of all time, right up there with the Beverly Hillbillies, I would have to think, and quite the popular performer, going all the way back to his LJN days. His LJN, everybody had Hillbilly Jim. Everybody really seemed to love Hillbilly Jim. I wouldn't say I was a huge Hillbilly Jim fan. I remember him on All-American Wrestling, I believe with Mean Gene on Sundays, I want to say it was. But I remember watching Hillbilly Jim a lot. A little bit wrestling, but he really did transition into more of an announcer and thing. I know he worked for Coliseum Home Video. But man, a big jacked up dude that I don't think a lot of people, a lot like a young version of Billy Gunn. People don't understand how big Hillbilly Jim was actually back in the day. A big guy. Of course, he was Hulk Hogan's buddy, which was always a head scratcher to me. It's like, why would the Hulkster be hanging out with this hillbilly here? I don't understand it. But the hillbillies needed a voice, and he was the voice of the voiceless. He was the Hillbilly Jim. So let's take a look at the packaging on this one. But much more iconic wrestler you won't find. I gotta think, if you know anybody that's, let's say in their 60s, 50s maybe even, 50s, 60s, you ask them to name 5 wrestlers and they're not a wrestling fan, just going off of the 80s heyday, Hillbilly Jim usually does come up. Jimmy Snuka, Hillbilly Jim, Roddy Piper, Hulk Hogan, of course, the Macho Man. Those are kind of the big 5 that always seem to come up from back in the day. Andre the Giant, of course, as well. But there's Hillbilly, a fabulous figure here, just a great Hillbilly Jim. And I believe when this one came out, the Hillbilly Jim figure we got before this went all the way back to the LJN days. I'm pretty sure. He didn't get a Bone Cruncher, he didn't get anything like that, he didn't get a Hasbro. Very wild that it had been this long since we've had a Hillbilly Jim figure. Beautiful, soft goods overalls that really do work on this one. You got the elbow pads there, and of course his famous hat. I don't even know what you call that hat, but it is famous. It's a Hillbilly Jim hat. I'd like to find one for myself one day. We'll see if we can do that. On the side, you got old Hillbilly Jim, of course. On the other side, there's a glamour shot. There's a good old country boy just smiling, looking all happy. There he is, same glamour shot on the back. Got the little blurb, and then we got the cross-sell of the entire line. We're unboxing or talking about 3 of them here. We'll do another video with the other 3, so make sure you're subscribed to the channel. You don't want to miss that. UPC's warnings on the bottom. Let's see what it says about old Hillbilly Jim. Hillbilly Jim is missing his elbow pads in this edition, too, on the back. So he does have elbow pads here, but not on the back. So there's a little point of difference there. He debuted in 1983, I believe, as Harley Davidson over in the Memphis territory. Copyright anywhere? I don't know about that one. Weight 286 pounds, 6'7". Like I said, he's a big dude. Finishing move, the bear hug. That's what I remember him really doing, that bear hug. But apparently he did the big leg drop as well. I'm sure that was part of his Hulk Hogan companionship stuff. And his favorite quote, a quote I use on a daily basis: "Don't go messing with a country boy." That's what you got to do right there. So Hillbilly off to the side. Now we're going to grab the real thing right here, and we'll look at his hat first. I'm not sure what you call this hat. Is it like a bucket hat, a fisherman's hat? I don't know. It's so floppy around the side, hard at the top. But a very cool hat and very iconic with Hillbilly Jim. The one thing they're missing, though, is I would have loved to seen the horseshoe around his neck. The horseshoe and the hat, that's Hillbilly Jim all day, and I guess the overalls as well. But very, very good looking Hillbilly Jim here. Got the black elbow pads, like I said. Articulation-wise, we'll walk it through with Hillbilly. Won't have to walk it through again because they all have the same articulation, but the head does have movement. Wrists move side to side, up and down, all kinds of movement there. We do have the white wrist tape here. Single jointed elbows. We do have a bicep cut, and then the shoulders go all the way around, as you know. We got a waist that turns, and you got knees that bend, ankles up and down, no side to side. So limited articulation, but honestly, if I'm a player, this is the perfect amount of articulation. I've said it before, LJNs, you got to use your imagination. It was tough to do. Galoobs, Hasbros, it was tough to do. This was the perfect amount of articulation. This and the Bone Crunchers, to me, were the best playing figures of all time. Maybe not my most enjoyable time of playing with figures, but as far as being able to do moves and stuff, I always felt that was the sweet spot. I love the Mattel Elites. I love the Jazzware, Storm Collectibles, all that kind of stuff. But sometimes too much articulation can be a thing, too. Just like there's too little, there can be too much. But there's my little TED talk right there on articulation. Of course, the hat does fit perfectly on his head. It does fall off fairly easy, but man, it does look really, really good. We did get an exclusive version of this one. It was sold only at Toys R Us on a WrestleMania weekend. Really, the only difference was the red elbow pads and the red boots. Besides that, the exact same figure. But a lot of people do love that Hillbilly Jim, and that's a tough one to find unsigned. I think Hillbilly signed every single one of those figures. So, so you know, now you know. All right, there's Hillbilly Jim. Now we're going to turn our attention to old Hacksaw Jim Duggan. Plain Jane, but a guy that stole our heart many, many years ago. Still doing his thing now. Battling cancer right now, and Hacksaw is a guy that comes through my area at least a couple times a year. I've met Hacksaw a ton of times over the years. Always a super nice guy. And man, the Hacksaw stories I could tell you. I'm not going to share them. But if you only knew. If you only knew. But there's old Hacksaw Jim Duggan right there in the package with his patented 2x4. A very, very big 2x4 right here. Very, very big. A little too oversized, if you ask me. He's got his white knee pads, blue trunks, blue boots, and a smile. That's all he's got. So he's rocking and rolling, strutting and strolling right there. Classic Superstars logo and all that kind of stuff up top. We didn't talk about that, but very, very iconic. Very difficult sometimes to find the star, not totally battered and beaten and bruised. So it's a little hard. It's a little harder to get a mint-on card set of the Classic Superstars, as we know. Hacksaw Jim Duggan on the side right there. And on this side, there's a little glamour shot of Hacksaw. And on the back, there it is. We got the blurb, we got the glamour shot, we got the cross-sell, UPC's warnings, all that kind of fun stuff. Like I said, we'll be doing all these. Make sure you subscribe. Hacksaw Jim Duggan, debuted 1977, 280 pounds, 6'3", finishing move, the Old Glory knee drop, the 4-point stance, and the running clothesline. Titles, WWE Royal Rumble winner, WCW Heavyweight Champion, which is always kind of interesting to me. Of course, that's the equivalent to the Intercontinental title back in the day, and I remember just Hacksaw just doesn't seem like a guy that needs a title, and that's how they kept him in the WWE. Then he got the titles over there. His best title reign to me was when he was a janitor and found the TV title in the garbage in WCW. Oh, what a time to be alive that was. His favorite quote, of course, "Ho!" and USA, USA. We know that from Hacksaw. Very, very good representation of Hacksaw. Sometimes people dog on this Hacksaw figure. I think it's a really, really good Hacksaw figure. Of course, we do got his patented 2x4 right here. This is big. I mean, it's basically almost as big as he is, so it's a little bit too big. Wish they could have pared this down just a hair, but it is nice. Has a nice wood grain to it, nice sculpt to it. A very, very good 2x4. Easily lost as well, as we see a lot of Hacksaw. I don't care if we're talking LJN, Hasbro, or Jakks, or Mattel. There's a lot of Hacksaws for sale missing the 2x4. It's just kind of a common thing. You just can't hold on to those 2x4s for whatever reason. Besides that, a very, very plain Hacksaw Jim Duggan. I like the head sculpt on this. I don't like the overly goofy Hacksaw ones like we saw with the Mattel Retro Fest where he's got his tongue hanging out. That's not for me. I like this one, though. I like this. He looks like more of a world beater Hacksaw. I think of this as more early Hacksaw in the WWF when he ditched the black tights to go to the blue for at first. You know, big burly Hacksaw like he should be. Nice long flowing locks, good beard. Just a fabulous figure right here. I wish he did have a fist. He does have two open gripping hands. The joke's on us because this 2x4 is too big. He can't even grip it. So the joke is truly on us, like I said. 2 white knee pads, blue boots, but it's just Hacksaw. It's a plain Jane figure, but one that gets the jobs done. He was a bit of a plain Jane wrestler as far as accessories. I guess you could have put American flag in here. You could have done that. But that wasn't the case. They didn't do that. But Hacksaw, a must-have. This whole line here in Series 4 was a must-have. Hall of Famers, heavy hitters, first times in the lines, guys we hadn't had figures from for a long time, so it was really, really cool and extra special to get figures of these guys. Now we turn our attention to old JYD, old Junkyard Dog, looking only like he can look. We did get a later version of JYD in all red, a very good-looking JYD as well. But I do like this JYD a whole lot. Looks good. Comes with the real chain going on. I'm all for that as well. Junkyard Dog on the side. And there's a glamour shot. And on the back, there's the rest of the Series 4 crew, UPC's warnings, and the blurb and the action figure shot. Let's see what it says about our old buddy JYD. Debuted in 1978, long before I was alive. Weight 280 pounds, height 6'3". Favorite move, the good old thump, of course. And it shows titles, WCW Tag Team Champion, which actually was not true. He was never WCW Tag Team Champion. He was a 6-man Tag Team Champion, though, back in the day, if you remember that. Always thought that was very funny, much like Hacksaw. Just JYD seemed a little bit past his time, of course, when he was in WCW. Still respectable, but I don't know if he should have been having title reigns and stuff. And that was an interesting time with the 6-man tag. I believe it was Tommy Rich and Mr. Wonderful, maybe his partners. Tommy Rich, I think, for sure. I can't remember, but definitely interesting time in WCW for sure. But we'll put him off to the side like the others, and of course I have him loose, ready to go right here. Beautiful, beautiful JYD. A very, very cool figure, and I believe JYD, this is his first figure back from the LJN days, so it had been a heck of a long time since we got a JYD figure. Very, very good, muscled up. I like that he's got the abs. He's got kind of the, I don't want to call it a gut, but he's got a little bit, but he definitely had that. But he was a big, big, tough dude. Especially you look at early JYD, man, he was a full-on steamroller. I know it's very easy to say, and a lot of people say, oh, Mid-South JYD, the best JYD. But, man, you really go back and watch that. If you've ever watched some of those angles, Mid-South was one of the companies back in the day that I never saw, and I'd always hear about it. I'd read it in magazines, things like that. I always dreamed of watching Mid-South matches because you always heard they were hard-hitting style, a lot like All Japan Pro Wrestling in the 90s, which I absolutely loved All Japan, as I've said on the channel before. So when the WWE Network finally got some Mid-South going, man, I was like a kid in a candy store because this was all fresh stuff for me. I'd seen a ton of the Georgia stuff, the Mid-Atlantic, the NWA, the WCW, WWF, of course. I've seen all that stuff throughout the years, but Mid-South was like a brand new door opened to me with a lot of guys, and guys I love, the Kamalas, the One-Man Gangs, the Dr. Death, the Freebirds, Rock and Roll Express, fantastic, Sheep Herders, JYD, and go on forever. So it was really fun, and to see something like that after all these years of kind of envisioning it in your head, to see it live in person or live on your TV was a really, really cool thing. So there's my TED Talk once again. This JYD, absolutely fabulous. I love the face sculpt on this. Looks like JYD all day long. You give me this, I'm going to know. That's that guy that grabs them cakes. That's what I would say. White tights throughout, but a lot of extra detail that Jakks didn't always give us, and they really went all out on this one. We get JYD. It says JYDOG, JY Dog, Junkyard Dog, however you want to say that there. Then he does get the blue and red stars throughout. Beautiful look of a dog down here. Looks awesome. I'm sure that was his dog. We'll just fact check that, but I'm sure that we're just going to say that was his dog. He got it there. Kind of like I have Ace and Lemmy and Domino and Molly on my trunks that I wear around the house sometimes. On the back, he's got Thump. Very, very fitting for JYD. The chain accessory is great. It's like real chain. Very cool. I like that it's not plastic. It actually feels like chain. The dog collar is removable, which is awesome as well. To be able to take that off, put that back on. Just fabulous, fabulous accessory. Fabulous, fabulous figures. You can't go wrong with Series 4, any of the figures, really. But these three kind of middle-of-the-road WWF guys that were everybody knew and that you had to have. That's kind of where I'm going. And all these years later, getting the classics back in the day was a very cool nostalgia trip for me and probably a lot of you guys out there. So there it is, the first round of Jakks Class Superstars Series 4 with JYD, Hacksaw Jim Duggan, Hillbilly Jim. You guys got any thoughts out there in YouTube land? Did you pick these up? Did you even know they existed? Let me know in the comments down below. And of course, you liked this video. You made it this far, you might as well subscribe to the channel, turn on the old notification bell. You don't want to miss a video, especially every Tuesday as we unbox and drop a new Jakks Classic Superstars video. Also, follow along on Patreon for this video, and many other videos, much earlier, exclusive content, giveaways, and of course, this is your best way to support the channel. And for you Jakks Classic Superstars fans, I'm getting way ahead of things. I'm trying to knock a bunch of these out. You'll probably have a couple of months early look at these Jakks Classic Superstars video than traditional YouTube will. So if you're all into the Jakks Classics, you can dive into the Patreon link in the description below. Follow me on social media, SirPaul64 on Twitter, Instagram, _Kyle_Peterson, and ProWrestlingTees.com. Search Kyle Peterson. So for Hacksaw, JYD, and Hillbilly Jim, I am Kyle, and I'll see you guys all real soon.